Good morning. This is Angela with a cup of tea on Monday, July 25th, 2011. Last Thursday on this webcast, I talked about remembering to remember and how it's important for us to remember how powerful we are and that we can actually mold and change and manifest any situation. And the only limitation truly is how much we believe we can. And it was tied into this childlike wonderment and believing that everything can happen because it can. So today, one of the topics I want to talk about is sort of remembering to remember part two. It's a completely sort of different approach from this, but it comes up as very important because we tend to, again, as habitual beings, we've had thousands and thousands of years of this, creating habits, but we tend to compartmentalize different parts of our lives. So spirituality is one part, our home is another part, work is another part, and friends can be another part. So what happens as we go and meditate, or we do yoga, or work out, or whatever it is we do to practice that tapping back into our higher selves and expanding our consciousness. And then we put it in this box when we're done and can check it off our list that we did that for today, and we move on with the rest of the task list for what we need to do today. So the key here is to remember that that work we're doing is for the entire journey. I'm sure you've heard that the expression, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And that is very true. So if you look at it from that perspective, then everything is part of our spiritual experience. I have a great story that's very practical, a great application of this, that happened to me over the weekend, and I blogged about it on my Road to Awakening website, roadtoawakening.net. But I'll sort of go over it quick and talk about it. I take this class at the gym every Saturday morning. It's a barbell strength training class, and I love the class. I've taken years and years of different kinds of athletics, and between dance and martial arts and just all kinds of different working out. So I totally appreciate when I feel like somebody takes it above and beyond or does just such a perfect packaging of how to do a certain workout, which is why I love this class, because the instructor is phenomenal at doing that from my perspective. So I come in on Saturday morning, and the instructor was out, and we had different instructors. So we start the class, and this instructor, who I'd never had before, did the class in a very different way. Very, very different. And it was very challenging. Not that the class usually isn't, but it was just so different that I found myself, after like 15 minutes into the class, getting irritated. Like more and more irritated as she went on, and I was like dying, and she was, really focusing in certain areas and taking a long time for it. And in the middle of like the 300 squat with the barbell on my shoulder, and I thought my legs were going to give and I was going to just die and keel over, I thought, wait a second, rewind. I'm judging. Why am I judging? Why is this setting me off so much? And because I started hearing the word wrong, and this is the wrong way to do this class, and so I was like, whoa, 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 wait a second. Because I so pride myself in walking the walk as much as I talk the talk, so I had to back up and think, why is this setting me off? So I realized, okay, so this woman is teaching the class. Is she reaching the, is she hitting the goal of the class, which is a well-balanced, weight-based workout? And yes, she was. It was an excellent way of doing it. It was just very, very difficult and very different from what I was typically experienced. So was she wrong because of that? No. She was just teaching the class and working towards that goal from her perspective and from her path and what she felt like was the best way to do it. So she was right in her own sense. It was just a different way of doing it. So what could I learn from this? Well, I could learn that I am, it's a reminder that we all have the separate paths, and all our paths are right, no matter how different they are. It's also a reminder that anything that sets you off is something to step back and look at and say, whoa, wait a second. Why is this setting me off? If you start hearing the word wrong going on in your head, well, then that's something to really consider, because then you're judging, and then again you're starting to think somebody else is wrong and you're right, or something you expect is right, and because it's turns out a different way, that's wrong. But that's not the case, because everything is right, every path is right. It's just what you're manifesting around you is obviously always a learning experience and what you have set out to experience. So I had to remember to step back and say, whoa, let me look at this. I ended up, having a great learning experience, because I learned from a different perspective how that workout could be done. And walked out probably a great variety for my muscles from what I'm typically used to doing for the workout. So all in all, it was a win-win situation. So anything that sets you off in your life, when you start thinking that, it's something to step back and remember. Now, again, it's all these things that we learn on the spiritual journey of awakening or reawakening. And it are really important to apply to everything. It's not a compartmental thing. This is something that seeps and is integrated and assimilated into our entire lives. And on that, I want to get to my other topic for today. Just knocked my camera, sorry about that. And that is letting go, also deciding in our lives, letting go of what doesn't serve us. And that's a difficult thing to cover. Not difficult, it's just challenging, because there's so many different perspectives of what doesn't serve you. I personally think if something is irritating you or setting you off about something and it's still in your life, then there's still something that you should be learning, that you need to be learning from that situation, or something you are trying to experience from that situation. And you can change it around and say, I want to learn this, and with grace and ease, without this challenge, or without this irritation or upset. But what is in our lives that is really sort of there and doesn't do us good either way? Doesn't set us off, doesn't make us ecstatic. It's just there. We have become, again, like I've said over and over, such creatures of habit over thousands and thousands of years, and what we've wanted to experience in this existence. So it's time for us to step back and look at what in our lives doesn't really serve us. It's just holding space. Because what happens is, if it's holding space and it's not doing anything for us, it's just there, then it's taking up space that something else that is doing something to help us move forward can do. So a lot of times that happens in relationships, long-term relationships, friends that have been around for a while, jobs, or what you're doing for a living. Is this serving my highest and best good? Is there something I can still learn from this? I always found that I would go through a period, in corporate America of, okay, I'm learning, I'm growing. Oh, well, guess what? I don't feel like I'm learning or growing. And that happens in, when you're working out, in a fitness program, if you're in a job, if you're in a relationship. Is this helping me grow? Or is this just comfortable because I'm used to it? And I'm not saying to go out and run out on your spouse or a long-term relationship, but these are just things to start to consider. Because if you're not moving forward together, you're not doing anything. You're just sort of treading water. And treading water is a waste of space, because there's so much to learn, so much to experience, and so much we can do with grace and ease and excitement and fun and love and ecstasy, that anything that is just holding space and not doing anything, either or, whether it's positive or irritating, to drive us forward. And the goal is getting up the mountain and not just staying in a certain spot. So that's your homework for this week. I want you to start looking at what in your life doesn't serve you. What is it that if you got rid of it, it wouldn't make any difference? There are things that I've held on to for years, and I finally let go of a lot of things that didn't do anything. But there are people or pieces or things that do actually still serve me in a very subtle way in certain areas. So it's not just because it's old or something that's been around for a long time that it should go away. It's just if it's doing nothing and it's just holding space in your life, it's something to reconsider and say, well, how can I change this? How can I release it? Or you can just do what I did and say, okay, I'm ready. Just let go of all that doesn't serve me. And and remember to put with grace and ease on the end, because I had learned that lesson the other week, and it was quite interesting, quite a fun ride. Anyway, so on that, I'm going to let you go. I'll see you Thursday. This is Angela with a Cup of Tea.